From the outside, the story writes itself. Japanese people never seem to take vacations, so they must not get any. That's the story anyway. Here's the truth. Japan guarantees its workers up to 20 paid vacation days a year, by law. And every year, workers leave nearly a third of those days on the table. Not blocked, not denied, just never used. That's not dedication. That's what invisible pressure looks like on a calendar. I'm Bucho, a department manager at one of Japan's biggest companies 15 years in. By most measures, I've made it, and yet I want out. Making sure my team takes their vacation is literally my job. They still don't. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the 3 invisible forces that stop a Japanese worker from using a day off the law already gave them. By the end, you'll see why passing a law was the easy part. And I want to know if people actually use their vacation days in your country. I'll ask you at the end. This is not another documentary about Japan's crazy work culture. This is the view from the manager's seat, the person whose actual job is to hand out the days off nobody takes. Let me start with the law, because the law is not the problem. Under Japan's Labor Standards Act, every worker earns paid annual leave, 10 days after 6 months on the job. It grows with tenure, up to 20 days a year. In 2019, Japan went further. Companies are now legally required to make sure their workers take at least 5 days a year. Not just offer it, make sure it happens. Japan didn't tell workers to take their vacation. It told their managers, people like me, to make them take it. So what happened? In the government's 2025 survey, Japanese workers used roughly 67% of the paid leave they were entitled to. And that 67% is an all-time high, the best number Japan has ever recorded. Turn it around. In our best year ever, 1 day in 3 still went unused. Now compare that to the rest of the world. In international surveys, workers in Germany and France take almost all of theirs. And in a 2024 survey that lined up 11 countries and regions, from the United States and Germany to Singapore and Japan, Japan came in last. I'd like to tell you that ranking surprised me. It didn't. So the law has teeth, and people still don't go. Why? 3 forces, none of them written down anywhere. Number 1, the guilt. There's a Japanese word we reach for here, moushiwakenai. It means, I'm sorry for the trouble I'm causing you. Guilt in advance for the inconvenience your absence will create. When many Japanese workers think about taking a day off, they don't picture the beach. They picture the colleagues who will have to cover for them. The feeling of being a burden, even an imagined one, is enough to make people stay. I've watched people book a single day off, then spend the days before it apologizing for it. Some prepare so many handover notes that taking the day costs more effort than just showing up. That word never needed translation for me. I carried it for years. Number 2, the eyes. There is no rule that says taking paid leave will hurt your career. No written policy, no official stance. But there's an image, and it's been there for decades, that the people who get promoted are the ones who are always there. Watch who gets remembered in a Japanese office. It's rarely the person who left at 5, it's the one whose light was still on at 9. And I can tell you, from the inside, in 15 years, I have never heard a manager say that vacation hurts a promotion. Not in a meeting, not in a review. Nobody needs to. Everyone already believes it. Number 3, the staffing. In many Japanese workplaces, if one person is absent, the work simply doesn't get done. Not because colleagues are unwilling to help, but because teams were never staffed to absorb an absence. On most teams, there's at least one job only one person knows how to do. When that person is away, the work doesn't get shared out. It just sits on their desk until they return. And they know it, so they don't go. And when I look at my own team's schedule, the math is right there. The plan only works if nobody rests. That's not an accident. That's the default. The guilt, the eyes, the staffing. They're not in any rule book. They don't need to be. The law says you can rest. The culture says you can't. I know exactly how those two sentences fight. I've stood on both sides. Quickly, this channel is about what corporate Japan really looks like from the inside, from the manager's chair. Now, my own record. I take my paid leave. All of it. Every year. But I'll be honest, it wasn't always like this. When I was younger, I didn't take mine either. Back then, I was still being taught, still leaning on the people around me just to get the work done. I already felt like I was slowing them down. Taking a day off on top of that, it felt like adding to a debt I hadn't even started to repay. So I stayed. I kept telling myself I'd rest once things calmed down. They never calmed down. There were months I worked 100 hours of overtime, whole days just gone. Nothing in them but work. Some nights I'd buy a beer from the convenience store and sit on a bench outside, just to have 10 minutes that belonged to me. And here's the part I never said out loud. The people who actually took their leave often weren't the ones caring the most. Sometimes they were the ones the office had quietly given up on. And those of us still trying to prove something, we absorbed the work they left behind. I won't pretend that didn't build up something in me. And one thing I know now, asking for cover, asking for rest, is not weakness. Back then, I was sure it was. Now, I'm on the other side of it. These days, part of my job is making sure my team takes theirs, and many of them don't. And watching from both sides, I've noticed something consistent. The employees who use the least paid leave are almost always the ones with the most work and the most overtime. The busiest people feel the least entitled to stop. They know they have the right to take leave. But knowing you have a right and feeling you can actually use it are two different things. A friend of mine, a pharmacist, married a colleague. Same workplace. When they got married, the two of them took 5 weekdays off in a row, together, a honeymoon. Perfectly legal, clearly justified. And during that trip, the phone calls started. From a number they didn't recognize, harassment calls, the kind that made them wonder, is this someone from work? They never found out who it was. I'm not telling you this because it's common. It isn't. What stays with me is the suspicion itself. A legal, ordinary honeymoon, and the first guess was a co-worker. Not because anyone had proof, because it felt plausible. That's what a workplace where nobody rests can do. It makes that guess feel reasonable. For almost everyone, it never goes that far. It stays quiet. The same three forces, just smaller. The guilt in the apology attached to a one-day request, the eyes in the pause before someone approves it, the staffing in the pile that waits on the desk until you're back. For years, I thought about paid leave the same way most of my team still does. If I can find the time, I'll take my vacation. Work first, vacation after, if anything is left over. I had the order backwards. I have paid leave. I'm taking it. Now, how do I build my work around that? Vacation first, then plan, It sounds like a scheduling trick. It isn't. It's the one place in this company where I decide what my time is for. I'm not saying my team is doing it wrong. I did exactly the same thing, and the people I quietly judged all those years ago, I understand them now too. Nobody here is the problem. The structure makes everyone look like this. And I should say, I'm one of the lucky ones. A big company like mine can absorb an absence. Most people in Japan work at small companies where everything I just described weighs even more. I see it in the numbers too. Japan ranks last among G7 countries in output per working hour, always present, not always productive. But what troubles me most is what happens at home. Children grow up watching their parents, a parent who never takes a day off, who answers messages on weekends, who apologizes for missing a school event. And quietly, without anyone saying a word, those children learn. Paid leave exists, but it's not really for you. The belief is passed down before anyone is old enough to question it. Earlier, I promised I'd ask, in your country, do people actually use all their paid vacation? Or is there something invisible that stops them, even when nobody is saying no? And if you're the one who approves the requests, have you ever watched someone apologize for taking a day they had every right to take? Tell me in the comment where you're from, which side of the desk you're on, and how vacation really works there. I'm Bucho. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe.